Authors in 100 Days. I'm your host, Adriana, and today it's all about conversations for transformation, where we find the story behind the story. It's a place where you get the opportunity to explore why the author became the author and what we can all learn from it as a collective. And we explore writers, artists, luminaries, all writing about life, the world, and our future in it. So today I get have the privilege of hanging out with Germaine, one of my favorite people in Las Vegas. And I want to not so much talk about what the content is of the books, but how he got to be a published author. And he has multiple books, so these are just a few that he's written. But let's just start there, Vital. How did you become an author? How did you know that you were going to be writing not just one but several books? Let's start there.
Wow, straight off the bat, you're doing a deep dive. No time to waste. Let's just go straight for it. In we go. It's a really good question. To be honest, it wasn't a plan. It kind of happened randomly. I was still a performer in Cirque du Soleil, and I wanted to share my story. And there was one of the performers who was an author. And I'd asked him if he'd be interested in writing the book, and he kind of blew me off. And so I kind of thought, okay, well, it looks like you're going to have to do it yourself. But I didn't know how, I didn't know where to begin. It was overwhelming. And I just started to somewhat journal. And it was, in the beginning, it was a cathartic exercise. I just needed to get my demons out on paper, because expression, for those out there who are dealing with any trauma, recovering from divorce, loss of work, what we're going through right now, a big component of the recovery and the healing is to just vent. That can be through writing, through painting, through exercise, through meditation, but it's important to get it out. So I started to just journal and write, and I shared some of those writings with a few people who were in my inner circle, and their conclusion was, oh my God, Vital, this is so powerful. You've got to make this into a book. And so I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? And I ended up becoming a member of the Henderson Writers Group. And bit by bit, I started to share some of this writing, and slowly it morphed and it became a book. So anybody out there who's in the beginning process of writing a book, a good component or a good place to start is with a writers group. And we were talking off camera, we were talking about this transformation that we're all having to take. I'm actually creating an online course and I've just started coaching some authors on how to write the book, because I think a lot of people now have the time, and it's a good moment to get your story out to help other people.
Amazing. Yes. Oh my God. I know a lot of people really love to enter my process. Because I know one thing about your books is if people are familiar with your work, they'll know that like you're the real deal. You write really raw, truth. It's authentic, and then very transparent with you. When I first read your book, and I think it's Flying Without a Net, but the first version,
the first one, yes,
your bio and your story, I had to take it in chunks, like little bits and pieces.
It's intense.
It was intense, and I was like, yeah. Every time I would read it, I was like, like, how could someone go through so much, and knowing you, how you are, and how you're this huge light for the world? I'm like, how does he go through all of that trauma, and then still be this amazing human being, right? And
thank you.
I always, that's one thing that I really admire about you, is that regardless of all of this history and this just incredible resilient story, you're still out there doing your thing and being awesome. So
thank you. I'm glad you used the word resilient, because really that's what it comes down to. And the strange thing is, we all have the ability to be resilient. And oftentimes the only moment in life where we realize how resilient we are is when we're in the gauntlet, when we have to dig deep, and then we suddenly realize, wow, I've got a lot of inner strength that I didn't know that I had. And there are also ways to develop your inner strength, and it's sort of a process that you do over time. It's a lot of people think, well, you're a life coach, Same with you. You're a life coach. You're a keynote speaker. You're a motivational speaker. You've written books, and they want a magic pill that's going to change their life overnight. Unfortunately, life doesn't happen that way. If you get a university degree, you don't show up on the first day of the semester and then suddenly get a degree. It happens over the course of 2 or 4 years. And a lot of the work that we've already put in, yourself included, is we've put in the work over time, and it's through that work that you develop resilience, that you start to be able to become more successful, that you gain clarity, that you see pathways and roadmaps. It takes time, and people have to invest in themselves.
Absolutely. I hear what you're saying. I believe that we both teach and mentor people on resilience. I think that we obviously have different methods, but that's the key thing. And the important part is that to recognize that we all can be resilient. Because I have found, and I don't know if it's true with you, is that resilience is all about incremental progress or incremental awareness.
Yes.
And then when the craziness happens, or when the unfortunate trauma happens, if you've prepared, if you've done the things that need to get done, when that thing happens, you're going to be fine.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. There are two ways to look at resilience. One, you prepare for it, so that when something happens, you've got the emotional fortitude, you've got the mental strength to navigate that. So there's the work you do up front. Some people don't have the luxury or haven't had the privilege to have either a mentor or a coach to prepare for life. And so what happens is when they get a punch in the stomach, they're knocked down because they haven't prepared, they don't have the stamina. The other way is when you're down and out, now all of a sudden you've got a choice. Do I stay down or do I get up? And those that have a sense of determination will get up. And that's when it's your raw core of inner strength that will help you. But obviously, if you have the tools up front, it becomes a lot easier. And then that's where people like you and myself step in as coaches, as speakers, to help people find those steps.
Absolutely. If I would have known that getting a coach and getting a mentor would be the absolute difference, like if someone would have told me that in my 20s, I was reading books and I didn't understand the value of investing in myself. And when I finally did, I was in my early 30s, when I finally put down the moolah, right, and said, hey, I'm going to do this John Maxwell program, I'm going to do these conferences, and had saved up the money to do so.
Yeah. Within
a year, it was like everything in my life shifted, my income quadrupled. I mean, it was that
yes.
All it is some people have certain information and certain skills that some people probably don't have right now. But if you can only get that one mentor and that right
yes.
coach, it'll save you 30 years.
Yes, it does.
Right? Because I was always just smashing into doors. I'm gonna get there, not realizing that everything is about investing in yourself first. So I have to agree with you that in the beginning it might not be easy for some people to get a mentor, but to understand that I made it a priority to save and eventually get a mentor. So,
well, two things. You asked me in the beginning about the book. So the first book took me 8 years to write and get published because I didn't have a coach. I didn't know how. 8 years later, when I'd taken certain classes and I'd gotten certain mentors who had guided me and certain coaches, the next books were written in half the time. And then the most recent book, I wrote it in 6 weeks. Wow. Because now I knew the steps. And so that's the advantage of what a coach or some type of mentorship does. It allows you to know the journey and it cuts down the time exponentially. So, and if you can't afford a coach, there are resources online. Go to YouTube and Google whatever it is that you need to know. Go and read the right books that'll help you. But again, ultimately, with the right coach, smooth sailing. And one thing I've done, we talked about adapting. What I've learned to do in my coaching programs now is I've actually offered starter kit programs where you don't have to invest in the full program. I'll give you sort of an introductory 3 to 5 session thing just to make sure that it works for you. And it allows people to really understand the value that it brings. So that's something that I think is helping a lot of people.
That's amazing. I haven't heard of that strategy of the starter, but I like it.
You can take it, the starter kit.
If you're listening, y'all get in on the starter kit because that sounds really appealing. I wish the programs I didn't have a starter kit.
Well, most programs you buy the full package and that's it. You invest and you're stuck with that program. I also want to make sure that I am the right coach for people. Yeah. And so if they are only investing in a small chunk, they get a gauge of if this is working for them. And also it's a question of, some people mean well, they want to do the journey, but they're not always emotionally or mentally ready to really focus. And so this starter kit gives them sort of an option to back out without having overspent.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I have to agree that it's faster and easier if you have, someone walking you through it. So are you shifting into like the book coaching, right?
So I'm offering, and I'm still in the process of building this simply because we've all gone through with COVID-19. We've all gone through this drastic life change. My preferred medium is I love keynotes. I love being on a large stage and speaking to large groups. But I've since learned that I did one-on-one coaching before, but I'll be honest, I shied away from it. And now that I've opened, here's another thing for people is the things that we sometimes don't like and are afraid of, give it a try because I'm now really enjoying the one-on-one webinar style coaching. I didn't think that I could or would. I'm actually really loving it, that intimacy, that one-on-one exchange. And so that's the value that it's able to bring is, so I'm creating several programs. One is I'm actually in the process of coaching several people with their book writing because a lot of people think it's overwhelming. It's a tough journey to write a book, but with the right steps, it becomes quite easy. So I'm creating that. I've got a communication course online because I believe communication is the foundation of all our relationships. I'm creating a resilience attitude mindset online course, which is all based on the coaching that I'm doing. So a lot of good stuff in the works.
That's awesome. So can people get the links on your webpage? Because I'll make sure that I have the link below.
Yes, if you want to send them to vitalgermaine.com, my full name, and go to training or coaching, and they'll see the options there. And they can just send me an email and try and get more information because I offer personalized programs. They can reach out. I'll offer a free 30-minute complimentary consultation.
Perfect.
A lot of options.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I had no idea. I know that we interact sometimes on social media and stuff, and I just hadn't caught up with you and had talked about what projects you had going on. So I'm thrilled. I'm so thrilled that you're doing this.
And we have the occasional lunch or coffee in person, which is always great to catch up with your life too.
I miss that. Do you miss that? Like,
I do.
I'm like, that is, if I'm missing anything during this crazy time, is the coffee shops and just having that interaction with other human beings.
And I hope when all is said and done, people will keep that gratitude going of the simple things, of having a good chat, a coffee with a friend and exchanging, and all those simple things, spending quality time with your family and loved ones. I hope that we don't forget this lesson too quickly because it's actually a painful way to learn, but I'm watching the world learn and grow exponentially through this being forced to adapt their lifestyles. It's within the ugliness is a lot of poetry.
Oh, I love that. Within the ugly. Hey, that's the title for your next book.
There you go.
Oh, that's awesome. I was reading your bio earlier, and in part of the bio, you have this really amazing line, and it says, "Creativity is the currency of the future." Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I mean, part of that is based on my own learning curve, but also reading from the greats. And creativity has always been the foundation of innovation, not just innovation, but all the technology that we take for granted is all based on somebody's creativity that guided them, that inspired them to make life better, healthier, happier, more simple. And that's a really valuable currency. because through your own creativity, you find answers and solutions to your own life, which improves the quality of your existence. And through our creativity, we are able to provide better services, provide better products. And that's all what makes the world go around. We're always looking for the bigger, the better, the faster, the improved. And the more people tap into their creativity, the more value they bring to the world, to their family, and also to their own lives. So creativity is a priceless commodity that we all possess.
I love that, and it is so true. There was a lot of science behind that, where people like the Mondays, and that's why all the futurists are saying that the individual that will be employed and that will stay employed and that will always have projects and income coming in are those of us who are creative, who are creating.
Yes.
Like right now we're creating this conversation, we're creating this video, we're creating these books. And so that's why I always encourage anybody who is out there who's listening right now and wants to become an author and knows that there's a story inside you. There is people like Vital and walk you through the process and make it easier, because just like you said, he had his first book that took him 8 years, right? Yeah. So now it's almost like, right, Vital, you're going to save someone the 8 years, right?
Yes. I believe I can. I mean, I don't want to make it sound too easy, because let's be realistic. Writing a book is not an easy process, but I can definitely streamline and simplify that process. And to your point about the creativity, what I'd like to share with people is, don't be overwhelmed because you are not a creative person. Everybody's creative. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story that can help somebody else. Everybody has a book within them. It's just a question of, do you feel the need to express that? Are you not intimidated by the process? But everybody has something of value to bring. And a book is one of the most powerful and beautiful ways to share your story and help the world.
Yes, I agree. And I also know that, writing is obviously not for everybody, and not everybody has that skill set. But if you want to, have the opportunity to be published, I believe that right now is the best time. And like you had said earlier before the call, it's like everybody's at home, right? There's really no excuse.
This is the time. Leverage this time, because yes, you are at home with all this additional time. And instead of driving your family members crazy, sit down at your computer, be productive, focus, create something of value. Even if your book is only for your personal legacy to share with your loved ones, that means that your grandkids can read about you.
Yes.
So the book has several purposes. A lot of people fantasize, well, I'm going to be on Oprah. I'm going to be a New York Times bestseller. That's one avenue. But maybe it's just sharing your story to your immediate loved ones. And it's a powerful thing, because once you've written a book, it exists forever. And it can be passed on to future generations.
It's almost like an ethical will, right? Like people leave their wills and their material things, but a book is like your ethical will. It's what you leave your children and the stories. Because I wish, like, my grandparents and great-great-grandparents would have written something down, because I would want to know how they lived. I have an aunt in Mexico who tells me about my great-grandmother, and she has these amazing stories, but nothing is written down. Nothing is, and I'm like, oh, well, it would have been nice, but I know that it's different times. So we live in a time right now that is just absolutely incredible, where the average person can do extraordinary things.
Yes.
And it's just a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive, I believe. Right?
But the other thing about book writing, publishing has become, like, now we are blessed with the option to self-publish. The process, if you know the steps, is so easy. Literally within 30 minutes, you upload your book, and it's done, you're published. Again, people just need to know those steps. And even if you just write a journal or a series of poems or an essay, that can become a book.
Yes. Wouldn't you agree, Vital, that it really isn't so much about what you're going to write or how you're going to write it or how it's uploaded, but it really is this mental barrier that a lot of people have about being published or about becoming an author? It's like so many people have like this. I've met a lot of people that have this burning desire to one day be published and one day be an author, yet the only thing that's stopping them is up here. Like that's the only, because they can't conceive of the idea that they are going to get up one day and say, oh, I'm published, you know?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's spot on. And this is what happens. People will rationalize and validate why they can't write the book. I don't have enough time. I don't know where to. So we make excuses. But ultimately, just like you said, the thing that holds us back the most is this. It's our mindset. And if we can set up.
You write a lot about that.
I do. I think mindset is the foundation of either our successes or our failures or our indifferences, whether we will be mediocre, whether we will strive to become excellent. It starts with our mindset, our attitude. And of course, the awareness, like every recovery program, you've got to be aware that something needs to change.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom this morning on this lovely Saturday. I look forward to having more conversations with you, Vital, and I do encourage anybody who's listening to tap into the link below, check out all of his books. I'm going to put a link to his Amazon account and also his webpage where Vital has all of the programs that he mentioned during this conversation. So is there anything you want to leave the listeners with, Vital, this morning?
Well, no, the thing I want to leave with is thank you for having me on, and an even bigger thank you for the work that you do, the impact that you've had on others, the positive influence that you've had on me over the years. And so I'll keep doing what I do, making the world a better place. You keep doing what you're doing. And just to those listeners out there that are writing the book, dig deep, just start. Write that first opening line, once upon a time. And whatever that first line is, and you will find momentum will carry you forward. But just take that first step.
Thank you, Vital, so much for all that amazing wisdom, and I look forward to having another conversation with you soon.
Sounds great.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.